Hey, welcome back. So, week 8 in the Grounded and Postpartum and New Motherhood series is all about mindful self-compassion. The skill that we review this week is the butterfly hug, which is really just, giving yourself a little tight little embrace and tapping. There is another YouTube video related to this that I share with the online community in the workbook too, but I'm sure if you just Google it, search it up. You'll be able to see other people explaining it too, but that's just kind of a little introduction. Really calming and soothing. Actually feels really nice right now. I'm just gonna do it. Okay. So mindful self-compassion. I love this topic. I recently listened to a podcast about it, and I also included that in the workbook. But to be a mom is to be human. To be human is to make mistakes, to be imperfect. And somehow, even though that seems obvious, I think that there's so many pressures and expectations of us as new moms and as new parents in general that we forget that. And our inner voice can be really critical. It can be kind of mean sometimes. And the wild part sometimes is that we don't even realize it. And sometimes it just takes some unpacking, like journaling, therapy, talking to a trusted, safe person. When we start to notice like these patterns and these trends of like, wow, I really cannot let myself rest because I'm calling myself lazy internally, right? Versus if you don't ever pause and assess that, like difficulty resting, you might just attribute it to, oh, I'm really productive and I stay grinding, which can be helpful to a certain extent, right? Like it gets us our degrees, it gets us our promotions. But when we think about what's underneath it, like, why is it hard to slow down and pamper yourself or treat yourself or whatever? There might be some underlying self-talk that is kind of critical, that's not helping you really be restful and nourished. So that's why self-compassion, and I talk about it in the workbook. It's three parts, which is first the mindfulness part of it, right? Like acknowledging, like, hey, I'm having these feelings without judgment. So not judging yourself for, feeling bad or angry or anxious, just saying, "Hey, I'm noticing that I'm feeling this way." And approaching it with curiosity. Then it's the action. So figuring out, okay, because I'm feeling this way, what could I be needing right now? Do I need to take a bath? Do I need some me time? Do I need help? Do I need to set a boundary with myself or somebody else? And then three, which is like others, outward facing, which is acknowledging that we are not the only ones who are struggling. To be human, like I said, is very complicated. But that also means that with the joy that we have access to, there is also some suffering. Like we can't pretend like it's always rainbows and butterflies. But I think the more that we can see, like, oh, I'm not the only one struggling with this, the more we are going to be able to offer ourselves that compassion, right? So those three components are essential in self-compassion work and just noticing it, figuring out what do you need, how can I talk to myself, and one thing that I really encourage everyone in the group, in the workbook, is to just list out like what are ways that I can care for myself? Because you deserve the compassion and the care that you give to others. What would it look like if you treated yourself with that same compassion and that care? Like if I had this like little visualization practice where imagine somebody who loves you and adores you, and every single time that you're around them, you just feel so good about yourself. You feel like you can tell them anything and they're not gonna judge you. What would they tell you as like a little practice whenever you're starting to shoulda, woulda, coulda yourself? Like, what would this person, this wise inner self, outer self, spiritual being, whoever it might be for you, what would they tell me? How would they encourage me to take care of myself and really taking that to heart? So that's just a little recap on self-compassion. It is a practice. We do need to, you know, continuously work on it, but it's so worth it because especially as parents, I think we have this duty that how we talk to ourselves usually will be how our kids talk to themselves too. And I know that I want my daughter thinking that she's the bomb.com, like obviously with some humility, but knowing that she is enough, she is valuable, she is worthy. So, with that, I just hope that this week you're a little extra kind to yourself, you take care of yourself, and we'll see you here next week. Bye.